Ahoy and welcome! In this series I am doing a deep dive in certain heritage ship cosmetics that are available for Sea of Thieves. Aside from just looking beautiful, quite a few of them are inspired by past rare video games. In this video we will have a look at the Cutthroat ship set, which is based on the Killer Instinct franchise. So if you like Sea of Thieves and other rare games, don't forget to subscribe. This is the perfect channel for you. But for now, let's have a look at the ship and all its references. And as always, let's begin with a dive into the franchise first. Just like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct is a fighting game that originated in the arcades, but was quickly ported to the SNES. The in-game story of the franchise is depressing, but in a fun way. It depicts a pretty bleak version of our future. Pollution has weakened the environment and governments have fallen. Chaos rules and mega corporations are destroying each other for their share of the world's wealth. So yeah, no similarities to our own society at all. One of those mega corporations is Ultratech, but instead of joining the competition, they decided to sell weapons to all parties. Not only this, but they also profit from broadcasting their Killer Instinct fighting tournament, which also serves as a testing ground for their weapons, thus making profit in multiple industries. The winners of this tournament are promised anything they desire, and all the different fighters have their own motivation to compete, for better or for worse. A lot of moves were made using motion capture. This software was still very new at the time.
It broke every time we did a character.
All fighters have a unique backstory and they are all memorable in their own way. Some fighters do stand out a bit more, like Spinal, Fulgur and Saberwolf, who strangely enough is not the same Saberwolf as from their Saberwolf franchise, but it is of course meant as a reference. This game also started the trend of Rare using their own developers as voice actors for their games. Chris Sutherland is the voice of Banjo, but also the announcer in Killer Instinct. And Chris Seaver voices Conker, but also Spinal. This trend still continues with Sea of Thieves. Some voice actors were hired, mainly for the tall tales, but the majority of the grunts and remarks made by the NPCs are made by the developers themselves.
I'd get out of the roar if I were you.
The SNES version was also the first ever Rare game I ever owned, and I have fond memories of beating this game over and over again. As an adult, however, I can barely defeat the second fighter, so yeah. One of the composers of Killer Instinct is our very own Robin Beanland, and one of his tracks originally made for Killer Instinct actually made it in Donkey Kong Country as Funky's theme. The game was also ported to the Game Boy. And fun trivia, one of the many idle animations of Conker in Conker's Bad Fur Day is him playing Killer Instinct on his Game Boy. This might seem random, but a part of the Killer Instinct team worked on this game as well. In 1996 the arcade got a sequel simply called Killer Instinct 2. A port was made for the SNES but was never released. Probably because focus was shifting to the Nintendo 64. This console did see a port of the arcade sequel called Killer Instinct Gold, which can also be played on your Xbox through Rare Replay. After a 17-year hiatus, the franchise got rebooted. This game wasn't developed by Rare but by Double Helix, an American studio. This reboot, simply called Killer Instinct, released free to play with rotating characters every 2 weeks. If you wanted to play with a character you liked, you could purchase one. Nowadays you can just get the definitive edition, which contains all the characters in addition to all the seasonal content. I never really got into this game myself, but from what I could tell it did well and despite it being a reboot, stayed true to the franchise. So with this history lesson behind us, let's have a look at the ship. The Cutthroat ship cosmetic was the second ship set released in the Emporium. The main colors are red and blue, which of course are the same colors as their original logo. The hull features some blades at the front. These blades are of course the blades of Fulgor, one of the main fighters of Killer Instinct. The description is also a reference to him. It reads, "Beware humiliation of the hands of a cutthroat, whose hull displays these wicked blades." The wheel also looks pretty cool and displays the KY logo. Its description reads, "Steer swiftly and fearlessly into battle with the sleek wheel. It's the way you move." And this is a reference to the second song on the album Killer Cuts, which is called The Way You Move.
Make your body move, make your body jump to the killer groove. Make your body rock, make your body move.
This CD came bundled together with the SNES game back in 1995. And yes, this song is made by the same guy who does the soundtrack for Sea of Thieves, and yes, this song should stay in the 90s. Just like the wheel and other cosmetic parts of the ship, the capstan is also decorated with the KY logo and some additional spikes. And I can't help to feel that these spikes are a reference to Spinal's original design, in which he featured spiked armbands, a spiked belt, and some spikes on his shield. The description reads, "Drop anchor swiftly to execute sharp turns, perfectly in tune with your instinct for battle." Being in tune with battle is also true for the franchise, since one of its main features was being able to build your own combos. Speaking about combos, let's look at the cannons. The description reads, "Count the heavy blows you land on your foes with ultra stylish cannons," which is another reference to his unique combo system, but also the announcer that calls him out. Just like the wheel and capstan, the KY logo can also be found on the side of the cannons. The flares look pretty bloody with their deep red particle effects, and I love them. The description reads, "A distinctive crimson blast with strange otherworldly sparks. Or are they cinders?" And this is a reference to one of the original fighters, Cinder, a character that's always burning. When looking at the sails, we again see the logo, but that's about it. The description reads, "Make these letters signify whatever you like, from keelhaul incident to kissing invitation." The collector's sails look a bit more pristine, but lose some of the cuts and ragged lines from the regular sails, which is a bummer. But these special sails do glow in the dark, which is nice. The description reads, "Such foreboding sails surely belong to a crew of marauders with a killer reputation," which is a wink to pretty much the entire roster of fighters. The flag depicts the blades of Fulgor, and its description reads, "The stories say this flag once belonged to the victor of a ferocious fighting tournament. As far as I know, Fulgor is not the winner of the KY tournament, but he is the penultimate enemy just before the final boss in the original." So let's have a look at the figureheads. And just like last time, we have 3 to discuss. First up, the normal figurehead, which depicts Fulgor yet again. Its description reads, "Fear the piercing gaze of this figurehead, immortalizing a well-armed and armored aggressor." And to be fair, he does have a pretty intimidating gaze. The collector's figurehead makes that gaze glow even more and even adds a blue glow to the blades. The description reads, "Ultimate rendering of a war machine ready to execute missions with breathtaking efficiency." Aside from yet another reference to Fulgor, it also refers to the ultimate combo, a type of finisher you can perform when your opponent is low on health. And the final figurehead I want to discuss is the Spinal figurehead. The description reads, "This legendary skeleton warrior shows you're a pirate with a killer instinct." Yeah, pretty obvious. And whenever I sail with this ship, I actually use this figurehead. Spinal was one of my favorite fighters, and he simply looks really cool. If you want this figurehead, you better hope Rare releases it again, since you could only earn this one through various past promotional events. As a whole, this is one of my favorite ship sets. It looks very pirate-like while also honoring a past Rare franchise. Most of the references are of Fulgor, which kinda makes sense since he was very prominent in the promotional material of the game. I do have to confess this ship was a bit hard to analyze compared to the others. Obviously I played all of the games, but I am simply more familiar with other Rare franchises. Either way, let me know how you feel about this ship and if I missed anything, because hey, that is a possibility. So thanks for watching. I hope this video was fun to sit through while also being informative. A thumbs up is always appreciated. And also, hey, don't forget to subscribe. Alright, see you in the next video and take care.
Fell in the water, god damn it! Oh shit, that was a huge explosion. I love it. GG. GG.
Make your body move, make your body jump to the killer groove. Killer groove. Make your body rock, make your body move, make your body jump to the killer groove.